What's up, guys, and welcome back to another conversation with John. Today, we are on episode 7 of All Her Fault, and we are one step closer to finding out exactly whose fault it is. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so we got episode 7. We're starting out with rewinding 6 years ago. We got Josie and Kyle, and they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and Josie's pregnant. So they sitting here talking about their lives and their plans for their lives and how life is gonna go for them and all this, that, and the third, or whatever, looking at baby clothes and furniture and all of this, that, and the third, preparing their lives together. So then we get Josie comes home from shopping and looking for a crib, and we get Kyle getting arrested. And as we know, Kyle does get arrested because in the other episode, Josie went to go visit him in jail. He's been arrested for a Schedule 2 substance. And Josie's big and pregnant, and she's upset by this. And then that day, she went shopping for a crib, and she ended up trying to pull the box for the crib in the house and ended up breaking the box. And she was so frustrated, she grabbed one of the legs for the crib and started hitting it against the trailer. And she ended up knocking herself in the head. And she ended up knocking herself in the head and had to be rushed to the hospital. And so Josie ends up losing the baby. And at this point, Josie is 16. So Kyle is gone. She just lost the baby. So now she got to go stay with her mama, Irene. And that ain't no picnic. So Irene confronts Josie because Josie got a credit card, excuse me, in Irene's name, and that's how she got the baby crib and I guess some clothes and other stuff. And Irene was pissed off, and she was like, "You gonna have to pay me back for what you owe me." And Josie was like, "Well, can't you just be kind to me? I've lost everything." And Irene was like, "Well, basically, bitch, you is my fucking slave until you pay me this debt back that you owe me. I own your ass. Until you pay me back, you are mine, and everything I say goes." And Josie was like, "Well, basically, she's nothing. She's dead at this point." And Irene looked at her like she was fucking crazy and went on about her crazy ass business too. And Josie ended up like posting on Facebook that she was dead or social media or whatever, and had people on there commenting like, "Oh, I went to school with her. She was so nice." So at this point, Josie's dead, or dead to herself because she feels dead on the inside. So then we're fast forwarding 5 years, and Josie's working at a bar, and her dad comes in there and he's talking to her, and she finally pays her mama back. It's like, goddamn, it took you 5 years to pay your mama back. How much money did you charge up on that credit card? And the fact that it took you 5 years to pay it back, Jesus Christ. So Josie's like, she finally paid her mama back, and she ends up start hanging out with a lot with her dad because she don't want to go back to her mama house because mama is fucking crazy. Irene is all over the place. I can only imagine what it was like for her going through living with 5 years with Irene. And at this point, she done had enough. So she started riding with her daddy. And from a previous episode, we learned that her daddy, and I figure his name at this point, he's a bookie. So she starts riding with her dad while he is conducting his business and stuff, and just being around him. And so the day that he goes to confront Colin, because we know that he was Colin's bookie in the during the course of the story, it's Easter weekend, and so he goes to the ranch to confront Colin, and then her and her dad are just talking or whatever, and she's like she wants to do something nice for someone she doesn't know. She wants to pay back the debt that Colin owes because she feels like she's dead on the inside, and maybe it'll make her feel something again or make her feel alive to help somebody else. But then it's like, no, I need my money quicker than that because it's gonna take you a while to run me my money. I need my money quicker than that. So while he's in the house confronting Colin, she ends up sitting in the car or whatever, and she ends up getting out the car because she hears a little boy and she hears Milo. And so Milo's sitting in the grass playing with Mr. Chips. And I know in one of these other videos I said Mr. Chips was a monkey. Mr. Chips is a frog. I just never went back to correct it, but Mr. Chips is a frog. So she goes up to Milo and starts saying hello with him, and they start connecting or whatever. And she asks him like, "Oh, your stuffed animal, what's his name?" He's like, "His name is Mr. Chips." And she's like, "Well, why is his name Mr. Chips?" And he was like, "Well, when he says the word frog, it tastes like a chip in his mouth, so that's why his name is Mr. Chips." And she was like, "Oh, well, when I say the word dolphin, it tastes like chocolate." So they start connecting on they differences slash learning disability maybe, or whatever the hell they got going on. And she also is like, "Well, for me Mondays are yellow." And then he's like, "Well, it's orange for me." So they start connecting or whatever. Because he's like, his parents don't like him to talk like that or whatever. And she was like, "Well, she just wants you to know there's nothing wrong with you, you're perfectly fine the way you are," or whatever. So she's just talking to him. And while she's talking to him, Marissa starts calling Milo, and Milo runs away and he leaves Mr. Chips behind. So this is how Carrie, aka Josie, had Mr. Chips, because at their interaction, when he left it, she ended up just keeping it. And that led her into the stalking of Milo. So she goes on um the company webpage where Colin works at, and she ends up finding Marissa and starts stalking her, and stalking Milo. Ends up following her to the park, and him and Marissa and Milo are playing with walkie-talkies or whatever. So she ends up buying walkie-talkies for when she kidnaps Milo. And in the process of her getting prepared for that, she starts like buying kids toys and all kind of stuff, and starts rehearsing her answers to questions about her background. Oh, excuse me, her background and stuff like that. And trying to prepare herself for, because she's trying to infiltrate these people live because she wants Milo. All right. So one day Irene come home and she go in Josie room, and she see a bunch of kid stuff. She's like, "Who? What is all this kid stuff for?" She's like, "Nothing. It's just I didn't take your money because she wouldn't want to owe Irene no more. I paid for this with my own money." And Irene sees Mr. Chips on the bed. She's like, "Well, what is this?" And then Josie's like, "Well, don't touch that." And they got into it some kind of way, and they started kind of tussling. And then uh Irene is like, "Oh, well, you think I'm a shit mom? Well, at least I kept my child alive." And what did she say that for? Because that sent Josie into a fucking tizzy, and she tackled this bitch and pinned her ass down, and I think she was choking him. And Irene was like, "Bitch, get the fuck out of my house." And that was the last time that Josie saw Irene's ass. Because next she ended up becoming a part of Jenny's life and getting hired by Jenny. And if we really look at this story from this point forward and everything we know, this show needs to be renamed to not all her fault, but to basically all Archie's fault. Because if Archie was actually a good husband and a good father, they would have never needed a nanny. But because his ass didn't want to watch his child and wanted to have freedom, like he ain't had no goddamn kids, they needed a nanny. And that's when all this stuff started spiraling. But it's also just like, damn, Jeannie, like what kind of, I know that them references that you call was fake, but who did you actually talk to? And that's somewhat of a hole in this story, because Carrie, aka Josie, is broke as hell. So I don't know that she would have had another phone to even have an alternate number to even pretend to be something else. Or she didn't have no friends, because now how people get friends to pretend to be their reference and stuff like that. Josie didn't have no friends. Maybe she had like a text now number or something. I don't know. And that's the number she gave Jenny to leave the references from. But yeah, Jenny, like, girl, I don't know what you and these references and Josie, but it is what it is. Josie ended up getting hired, and that's when she started trying to infiltrate Milo's life. She introduced herself to Anna and had the boys meet each other, and that's when they get into hanging out and going to the ice cream shop, and her asking questions about the alarm system in the house and the family and all this, that, and the third. And so, as we know, Josie ends up meeting up with Kyle right before he gets out, and she ends up telling him about her life and how she is a nanny, and telling him about Milo and all this, that, and the third, um, or whatever. And she plans for who is this? Kyle to meet her. And that's the day of the race. And so when Kyle gets there, he's like, oh, who white baby is this? He's like, oh, well, I want you to meet Milo. And she's like, oh, you, he's like, oh, you was for real. You really gonna take this little boy. And um, and he's like, no, you tripping. Like, he has parents. Like, what is you doing? And he tries to tell her no, but she's like, she can't live without Milo. And so at that point, he's like, well, he will help her because he don't want to lose her. So they then trying to figure out, like, how we gonna make this happen? Like, how are we gonna get this boy? And so not Jenny, what's this girl name? Josie's like, we gotta find a perfect moment. So in the next few days, Jenny is talking to Archie, his trifling ass, about her meeting Marissa at the little mixer that they had when they was drinking in the bathroom. And up until this point, we still haven't found out about this scar that Marissa had on her shoulder and what do they got to do with it? Because this, I feel like this got something to do with this story, and maybe it's part of this is Marissa's fault because of that scar in this situation, and she didn't realize how trifling her husband was also. Maybe we'll discover that in episode 8. But yeah, that's when Josie, aka Carrie, the wheels start turning. It's like, okay, these kids can have a play date, and that's how I'm gonna get Milo's ass. So then she takes Milo, and at this point it's day 3. Okay, and Milo is restless. He is ready to go home. He's asking about his mama. He's counting down to his birthday. Like, man, I am ready to go. When is this vacation gonna be over? Because remember, he called it a vacation. And so, like, they really was trying to kidnap this boy, like, for real, for real. Like, I didn't think it was a joke, but like, for real, she was trying to get a passport for Milo, but she couldn't. And that's when she called her daddy. And the daddy's like, well, who did you use? She was like, well, I used your guy, but it didn't work out. And so the daddy was like, okay, well, baby, I'm gonna help your crazy ass kidnap this little boy. And so the daddy ended up flipping the script. And that's when he called Peter and was demanding a ransom. So this is on day 3. Now on day 4, that's when Kyle's picture gets into the press, and the dad comes back to the whole to the seaside cabins that they at, and it's like, well, look, now this motherfucker's pictures in the press, like, we all about to be fucked up. So what we got to do is we got to get away from this seaside cabins. He told Josie to take Milo to his motel, and they was gonna clean up the seaside cabin. So while they cleaning up the daddy and Kyle, Kyle brings up Mr. Chips, like, we gotta find Mr. Chips. So they start looking for Mr. Chips, and that's when the daddy shoots his ass and ends up throwing him in the lake. So after that, Josie is sitting at the motel or whatever, and she's sitting there watching the news coverage about Milo, and she starts having like flashbacks or whatever. And she remembers that she was in a wreck. And after she was in the wreck, she ends up waking up in the hospital, and she's like, well, where's my baby? Where's my baby? And the nurse is like, well, no, he's gone, baby. Your baby is gone. She's like, well, no, I heard him crying. Like, I know this happened. Where is he? And the nurse was like, well, no, baby, you ain't got no baby. So at this point, she thinks that Milo is her child because she was reminiscing on the fact that they taste words and days of the week or colors. So she thinks that Milo is her child. And so that's when we get to the point of Carrie going to the house with a gun looking for her baby, because her baby is gone, losing Milo because she done lost her baby. So then she pops up at the Irvin's house because she wants her son back. And that was the end of episode 7. So I guess we're going to wrap all of it. Well, I know we're going to wrap all of this up in episode 8 and actually find out whose fault is it actually. Because it's also just like, okay, so now we know what Josie's motivation was behind all of this. And like I said, we still don't know about this scar on Marissa's shoulder. I feel like that's going to have something to do with it. Peter is trifling and ain't shit and a liar. So he got some shit on him, and I feel like that's gonna have something to do with it. How all these dots are connected, I have not the slightest idea, but clearly it's gonna be cleared up in episode 8, and maybe Josie isn't crazy. Maybe it's a switch that birth situation, and Milo is actually her son because they taste words and days of the week have colors. I don't know. We gonna see. But until next time, I will catch you guys on episode 8, and we will be at a conclusion of all her fault. Until next time, peace.